What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the 2023 Dodge Challenger RT Plus. This one's finished off in Sublime. Nice bold color for it, for sure. MSRP is around $51,600. So let's go ahead and see what the RT is gonna be packing under the hood. Of course, we got that 345 badge to at least give you an indication. And then popping it open, as you can tell, you're gonna see that 5.7 liter naturally aspirated 8-cylinder motor. It's pumping out 372 horsepower with 400 pound-feet of torque. It's also a rear-wheel drive car with an 8-speed automatic, and 0 to 60 is the mid 5-second range. There's a cool badge over here as well, and then you can see that functional scoop on the underside. Taking a look at the exterior styling now, it's got that really nice retro bold appearance. I especially love the round headlight design and then all the gloss black in the grille with that Challenger script written out. On the other side, we get a blacked out RT badge, so it definitely has a pretty cool look. And then down below, there's LED fog lights and a massive front splitter. Huge opening to allow even more cooling and airflow into that V8 motor. And I just like how retro it is, how squared off everything is, and the hood really sits on top nicely. Got that huge power dome design and very flat body lines leading towards the windshield. Still is a really cool looking car. At the side, we get a set of 20-inch wheels finished off in a multi-spoke look, cool gunmetal gray color, and I like how the front splitter cuts around. You're also gonna see nice sharp body lines surrounding the wheel, of course that 345 badge, and then very, very flat body panels throughout the side profile with really just one prominent body line. Proportions are pretty good too. It's a huge car weighing in over 4,000 pounds. You have a huge hood, huge trunk, but I just like how this line cuts upwards and then over towards that rear fender. Really nice body lines throughout the roof. Of course, a sunroof up top as well. And everything flows towards the rear really nicely. Just gives you that classic muscle car appearance. And then in back, we're gonna get a satin black design on that lip spoiler. And then all gloss black throughout these LED taillights with Dodge written out in the center. Have a backup camera, trunk release button, and then one sharp body line throughout the rear bumper with all of your parking sensors, a dual exhaust system, and the rear end comes together, it matches the front. I think all the overall proportions look fantastic. Then we can go ahead and double tap the trunk button, go ahead and pop it, and then manually lift it up. And you're gonna see so much cargo area back here. This is a huge car, so you can definitely fit all sorts of items in it. Then we can just grab it and close the trunk. Get a pretty nice black design for the fuel cap. And then moving to the interior, we can go ahead and open up the door. This one has a Napa leather interior with Alcantara all throughout it. You can see all these smooth black leather along the door panel with contrast stitching. Get some good padding, your grab handle along with window controls, release handle down below with 2 storage cubbies, and then you do get some power controls and a manual recline. Better look at the seats. I really like the Alcantara, just the way they're laid out. It's really nice in here. Now this does have back seats, so if we go ahead and move that forward, this is a 3-seater back here, all the same materials. You're gonna see that perforated Alcantara with the smooth leather, and then you can pull this down. We have armrests with 2 cup holders. You're also gonna see some air vents down here and storage on the back sides, and then you can even pull these straps and get this seat nice and flat and get even more cargo area in the back of the Challenger. So if I go ahead and hop inside, for being a 2-door car, this thing is actually pretty darn practical. It's decently comfortable back here, and even with the driver's seat at my height, I still have legroom and knee room. Pretty decent headroom at 5'11", and then I can grab that and get this out of the way. Climbing out now, let's take a look at the driver's seat. So inside, keep my foot on the brake, let's fire it up. That 5.7 will roar to life. And then we get our gauge cluster with the tach on the left, speedometer on the right, and your digital screen in the center. As I scroll downwards, I can scroll left and right, see all sorts of different vitals that are going to come up within the car. You can continue down to see even more, and then quite a few other pages just to go over a lot more things within the car. You can see cruise control on the right side with your forward pacing. We have more controls on the left along with your Bluetooth and audio. Paddle shifters up top. They're a little small, however, at least they're there. And then underneath them are buttons for volume and tuning. On the stalk on the left, you have your turn signals along with windshield wipers. And then headlights are down here with your interior dimming and trunk. And then a cool plastic design all throughout the gauges. Pretty neat the way it's looking. Got some stitching around all this vinyl material, Challenger over on the air vent, and then a pretty good sized glove box. Now in the center, we have all sorts of different information that's gonna pop up. You have all your media, climate control as well. Super easy to configure everything, heated and ventilated seating. Then you have your apps tab. All sorts of things are gonna pop up here. If you go into performance pages, they do take several seconds to turn on. So we'll just sit and wait for that. And there we go. So we have our dyno of the car, which is pretty neat to see. Engine information, got a G-force meter as well. Different gauges, timer, and then a home screen. If I go back into apps, you're also gonna see the performance control I can go into. You can configure a few different things within the car. Drive mode select, launch control, all the different drive modes. Then we have our settings icon as well. Going into reverse, you get a pretty good backup camera in the center with guidelines, and then parking sensors in the center. Now underneath the screen, we have our sport mode button. You'll get a little green checkered flag up on the dashboard. Super track back button gets you back to that one screen, and then audio controls as well. Fan speed in the center with your different zones, temperature, air conditioning, things like that. There's a little cargo net on the side, little storage right here, and then 2 cup holders in the center. Do have some nice storage in the center as well. And overall, a pretty cool looking interior. It's a little dated, however, still feels pretty nice, especially with the leather and Alcantara. And then we have a nice manual sunshade for that sunroof. We have our sunglass holder as well, and then you get dome lights and garage door openers. With all that said, let's take the RT for a spin. All right, so we are setting off now in the Challenger. Not a bad power plant. It's pretty peppy. At least it gets you up to speed nicely, and you get that awesome V8 soundtrack. Really cool to still have a V8, at least in a modern car. Now some normal driving, and if I tone it back down and at least take it out of sport mode and just normal automatic, it's a pretty livable normal car to drive, quite honestly. It is huge. You can see that hood is super far away. However, it's really comfortable and kind of luxurious in here. You have a huge cabin. There's so much interior space. Visibility is pretty good out the windshield as well. Of course, you can see the huge hood, but you can still really nicely see ahead of you. Mirrors all do a really good job letting you know what's going on behind you. And then over your right and left shoulder, you get pretty good visibility. Over your left is not bad at all. On your right side, that piece is definitely a little big, so hinders visibility just a tad, but I wouldn't say it's really all that bad. The suspension, there's nothing adaptive in this RT trim level. However, it's still comfortable. It absorbs bumps really well, and I don't really seem to have any issues with just normal driving. And then back to slowly getting up to some speed and everything. The transmission shifts really smooth. It's a pretty normal car, like I mentioned. It doesn't really rev too high. Being a large engine, it doesn't have to work that hard to at least get you up to speed. I think the seats are also really comfortable as well. You got a lot of good padding. They're large seats too, so I think it'll accommodate quite a lot of different body styles. But you know, I'm fitting in here pretty nicely, and the ergonomics are pretty decent. It's easy to reach everything. So you really can't complain for just normal driving. This is a good daily, just a normal around town type of car, but you actually have practicality. Those back seats and trunk make this super usable. So if you really want to get a two-doored car, but you genuinely want something that is actually pretty darn practical, this is something to take a look at. And that is gravel, so we're gonna keep going straight. But when you are cruising, there's really no like wind noise, road noise, things like that. So it's a decently insulated car, and there's enough tech to make it kind of modern. So if I go back into sport mode doesn't do all that much for this car, being it doesn't have anything truly adaptive. However, when you go into here, you're able to view what you can change. So it's really just the engine. It'll just get a little bit tighter with the tuning, paddle shifting, you can turn that on and off, and then just traction and steering. Now in comfort mode, steering is super lazy, really effortless, which is great to see. And then sport mode, it definitely tightens up, adds a little bit of weight to it. So it's a pretty good entry point into the muscle car world if you're looking for something not too out of the price range. I mean, $50-something thousand, it's not cheap. However, it's just a little bit more than an average car in today's market, so not all too bad. And then one last acceleration. You know, it's pretty peppy. It'll get up to speed nicely. You can enjoy the power, get up to speed. So overall, it's a pretty good blend for that entry point into a muscle car. You got the V8, you got the soundtrack, and you have pretty decent fuel economy for being a V8 and all the comfort and size you would need.